Welcome back to the channel, my brothers, or welcome to the channel if this is your first time. My name's Andy R, and this is the Brotherhood of Men. We know as men how unfair society is to men, but today I'm going to talk to you about the double standards that we face on a daily basis, and it affects every aspect of our lives. Our personal relationship lives, our family lives, the court system, government, and of course our employment rights. So let's get into the video. Now, I'm only going to really be scratching the surface on this massive subject, and this is going to be a long video, so please stay with it all the way to the end. There's going to be a lot of information in here. But also, I know there's going to be a lot I don't cover. So if you've got an opinion on this, please leave it down in the comments below. Tell me your experiences. Tell me what you've come across. And most of all, tell me the points I haven't touched on in here, because I honestly think this is going to have to be a two-parter of a video because there is so much in it. So let's start a little bit light-hearted but serious as well. For one day in a relationship, just one day. So you've been with a woman, say, for a few months, less than 6 months, but about 4 or 5 months. You're in a sexual relationship with her, so that's all good. You know, you're having fun together. And then that one day crops up, and that one day is February the 14th, St. Valentine's Day, the day for love. Now this is when we start to see the double standards. Because what's the woman going to expect from you? Well, very least she's going to expect a card from you. But you expect a card from her. Now when I say expect, she actually will expect these things. Not necessarily all of them, maybe more. But she's going to expect these. Not want them, wish for them, hope for them. She's going to expect these things. Number one, she expects a card from you. Number two, she probably expects flowers. Not just any flowers, she expects roses. Not a rose, a single red rose. No, she expects a dozen red roses, which are going to cost you an absolute fortune because the price ramps up come Valentine's Day. A week ago, they cost you next to nothing. Now they're costing you an arm and a leg. And that's another thing most people get wrong, especially women, is that they think red roses represent love. Red roses have never represented love. They represent lust. If you want to show a woman you love her, you give her a yellow rose. But you try doing that on Valentine's Day and see the reactions you get, because she's expecting red roses. So you've got the roses, you've got the card. She also probably expects maybe a nice bottle of wine or even champagne, again costing you an arm and a leg. After all, it is Valentine's Day. She might expect some form of jewellery. Gold definitely, never silver. Platinum's okay, but not silver. So it might be a locket, a pendant, a bracelet, some earrings. Something that she can say, oh, I'll always remember you when I wear these. Well, she should be able to remember you at any time without having to put some jewellery on to jog her memory that you're in her life. But that's beside the point. She's expecting you to expend all of this time, energy and money to show her your feelings for her on Valentine's Day. Now she'll expect you to take her out to a nice restaurant for an expensive meal. And again, it will be an expensive meal because restaurants, like most businesses, at certain times in the year will cash in on those times of the year, like Christmas, if you're in the States, Thanksgiving, Valentine's, definitely. They'll have a whole theme going on. And you're expected to take your whatever significant other, girlfriend, lover, your wife, fiance, whatever, to this expensive restaurant, which you've had to go through a lot just to get a reservation, hoping that she likes the place that you've picked. All of this you've done and it's cost you a lot of money. and time and frustration trying to get the bookings, trying to get somewhere that you can take her to show her how you feel. Okay, the double standard. Where's the reciprocal from her? Well, let's have a look. She'll make sure she's gone a little bit extra. She's gone and got her hair done. She's probably been to a salon or she's probably been to a spa to have herself nice and pampered and relaxed and certain areas waxed and preened to look her best for you. She's bought a new dress. She's bought you a card as well. But that's pretty much it. You see, she expects all of this from you where she's really giving the bare minimum. And don't for a moment think all of this effort is just for you. Don't for a moment think her getting herself dressed up, made up, her hair done and everything was just for you. Because that's not how women work. No, she's going to be telling her girlfriends, especially her single girlfriends, about what a magical night she had that you laid on for her. How she felt like a princess. And part of that's going to be her explaining what she wore, how she was dressed, how she had her hair done, what you had to eat, the whole shebang, what you bought her, everything. And she's going to be comparing notes with her other girlfriends who are also in a relationship to see how you did. She's scoring you. Marks out of 10 how you did on that Valentine's Day. So you've jumped through all of these hoops and she's made minimum effort. And the big clincher is of minimum effort is when you turn to her and say, so where's my gift? Where's my surprise? And she says to you, you'll get your surprise tonight, babe, when we get home. She's offering you her cooch. Now, I said right at the beginning of this, you're already in a sexual relationship with this woman. So she's offering you something you've already got. Minimum effort. For some reason, she thinks that all of a sudden it's gold-plated is her coochie, and that's what she's offering you tonight. After you went through all of these hoops that she expected, she's offering you the bare minimum. And it didn't come fresh. She wasn't a virgin. She's been with other people, so she's offering you something she's already given away to, for all you know, hundreds of men. But she seems to think that it's gold-plated, that you should be grateful that she's offering this to you. After you've gone through all of this effort to show how you feel, she's basically showing you she feels nothing special. You're nothing special in her life. Double standard. So this year, this Valentine's, and it's in about 4 months' time, I want you to try a little social experiment for me. If you're in a relationship, I want you before Valentine's to say, this year we're going to mix things up, you know, all things being equal. You're going to make the booking for the restaurant. You're going to pay for it. I want you to buy me a card, flowers, some champagne, maybe some jewellery that I like, a watch perhaps. I'm going to spend the day in a salon, in a spa. I'm going to get a massage, probably get a steam. I'm going to go to the barber, get a nice haircut, maybe a straight razor cut. And then that night, I'm going to dress up in a brand new suit for you. And I'm going to wear some lovely lingerie. For a man, that's going to be silk boxer shorts. And your present's going to be, hey baby, grab your crotch and say, your present's going to be when I get you home, I'm going to rock your world. Now step back and watch the fireworks. I'm not kidding. They honestly expect you to go through hoops for something that is already yours, that you're already enjoying. Imagine it like this. If somebody put a Christmas present under my tree and I unwrapped it and realised not only is it a book I've already read, but is actually one taken off of my bookshelves and then wrapped in fresh Christmas paper, how do you think I'm going to react? How would you react? Let me know in the comments down below. Your first reaction is going to be not, oh, what a great gift, or how thoughtful. It's going to be, I already have this. You've just put a new wrapper on it. And that's exactly what she's doing on Valentine's Day. You already have what she's offering. All she's done is put a new wrapper on it and expect you to be grateful. Do you see the double standards? Well, this was a bit of a light-hearted take on things because, like I said, I wanted to start this very serious subject with something a little light-hearted, but it still shows the double standards, and that's just in a relationship. Now let's look at something the complete opposite to that, something really serious. Men are just as likely to suffer from domestic abuse in a relationship as women. The suffering is slightly different, but they are just as likely. In fact, cases roughly work out 50-50. Men are as likely to suffer from domestic violence in a relationship as women. Here in the UK, that covers 4 countries: Northern Ireland, Scotland, England and Wales, with a population not shy of 70 million people, all told. In the UK, there are dozens upon dozens upon dozens upon dozens upon dozens of domestic abuse shelters for women. How many do you think there are for men? Go on, have a little guess. How many do you think there are? All these many shelters there are for women who are escaping from DV. How many do you think there are for men? Well, if you answered 0, none, you're absolutely right. There are no domestic abuse shelters set up specifically for men. Actually, there are places for men in these shelters. And this is a direct quote. There are 78 places in the whole of the UK for men on paper. But in reality, there are only really 20. The other 58 are for both men and women. So in a population not much shy of 70 million in 4 countries, there are 20 places allocated for men who suffer from domestic abuse. When 50-50, men and women are as likely to suffer from domestic abuse as each other. That is how equal our society is. Basically, the society, Western societies, and I know that it's a very similar case in the United States, I know it's a very similar case in Europe. I'm not so sure about Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and other Western societies. All I know is definitely in the UK how this stacks up. That's pretty much the government, that's pretty much society saying, hey, if you're suffering from this, yes, get out, but there's no help for you, you're on your own. And men face this all the time. For instance, if you're a single father and you find yourself homeless, the first thing the state's going to do is want to take the child away from you because you have no abode. You are not being able to protect your child as they wish. Their first move would be to take the children away from you. If you're a woman who's a single mother and find yourself homeless, they will bend over backwards to find her accommodation. First of all, they'll find a temporary accommodation, maybe bed and breakfast, hotel, whatever, until they can find something more permanent. At no time do they enter their mind that you're being a bad mother, we're going to take your children away from you until you sort yourself out. And then we'll make a decision whether we will or will not return your children to you. Until that point, they will be a ward of the court and the state. But that's the first thing they go to if you're a single father. Now, for a start, single fathers only make up the 10% of single parents' households. 90% of custody is usually awarded to women. Of that 10%, only a small amount are awarded through divorce, etc. The others are through a man becoming a widower, or through bereavement, etc., and therefore is the only surviving parent. So you find that 10% is even less than that when it comes through the courts. But 90% of custody is awarded to women. and the state will bend over backwards to accommodate these women in that situation. If they become homeless and they've got children, at no point does the state think to themselves, we'll take the children away and let the woman sort herself out, like they do with a man. Double standards, double standards, double standards. Let's go back to the dating world. If a man goes out with a woman and forgets his wallet, or doesn't take it in the first place, when they've had the meal realise, I haven't got my wallet on me, can you pay for this? You are a bum. You're a waster. You're a loser. You're all of the bad things because you couldn't pay for the meal. You couldn't pay for the date. She had to pay for the date. Well, I thought we were all equal. I thought that, it was, I'm a strong, independent woman who needs no man. Well, all of a sudden, he's a waster. But I know, personally, I know women who've gone out on dates and never even taken money with them. In fact, I know of women who go to nightclubs with no money in the expectation of being let into that nightclub free, whereas the men always pay, and expect drinks to be bought them all night by men. They literally take no money with them. Or they take a little backup money just in case they need to get a taxi at the end of the night because they didn't score. Yet nobody says you're a loser, you're a waster. Oh, women ain't crap. Oh, you're pathetic. God. No, double standards. Let's carry on with those double standards, shall we? If a woman cheats on the man she's in an exclusive relationship with, no, sorry, let's start the other way. If a man cheats on the woman he's in an exclusive relationship, all of her friends are going to be saying the same thing. Oh, he's a dog, he's terrible. Oh, you dump him straight away, get rid. Oh, he's horrible, he's a loser, he's a bum. This is the trouble with men, they're all dogs, men ain't crap. You hear it all the time. If the woman cheats on the man in that exclusive relationship, her friends are not going to use those words to her. They're actually going to be saying, oh, I wonder what he did to her to make her cheat on him. Do you see the double standard? They're not saying, oh, she's a dog, she's rubbish, all women are crap, she's a loser. No, they rally round and defend her actions by saying the man must have done something to force her, not it was a choice, to cheat on him. Maybe he wasn't getting it done in the bedroom, they say. Maybe he's got a small todger. Maybe he wasn't giving her enough attention, wasn't giving her enough of his time. There's always going to be an excuse to excuse her behaviour. At no time do they do what they do with a man. There is no excuse for his behaviour when he does the same thing. No, he's just a dog, a loser. All men are like that. Double standards. Now, let's have a look at the workplace, shall we? A lot of workplaces now, especially large companies, have what's known as a DEI department. In other words, it stands for diversity, equity and inclusion. And a lot of these that have these departments actually run actively to fill quotas of the amount of women, etc., whatever they class a minority, to fill roles in that company. Not that they're the best person for that job, but it looks good on paper that they've got as many women in the boardroom as they have men. Now let's have a look at that the other way around. Let's take a very female-centric occupation. Nursing, for instance, or teachers. Have you ever seen a campaign for more male teachers? Not just to encourage more men to go into teaching, because they actually, a lot of countries and a lot of companies, a lot of colleges and teaching places, a lot of states actually do try and encourage more men to go into teaching. But when the teaching runs at 78% of women are teachers, and that figure goes up to around about 84% the younger the class. So the earlier a child starts in school, the more likely he's going to have a female teacher, 84%, up to 84% of the time. As the child gets older through his education, he's more likely then to come across male teachers. But even then, it's still running at 78% female teachers compared with just the small percentage of male teachers. So a child can go through its whole life and never come across a male teacher. But nobody's actively trying to fill slots by literally discriminating against women in favour of men in those areas where women are the dominant force. Yet you see in male-dominated sectors, they're literally breaking the law, running adverts to say more or less men need not apply, we're only looking for women just so we can tick boxes. Do you see the double standards? But the trouble is that anybody who works for a company like that is going to have no respect for his female boss if he for just 1 second thinks that that woman got the job just because she's a woman, not because she's the best person for the job. You see, if you work for a company that's a meritocracy, in other words, your hard work, the effort that you put in is rewarded by promotion or by higher wages, etc., you can have some sense of pride that you achieve that goal. If you think somebody got the job just because of some immutable characteristic like female or whatever it might be, you're not going to have any respect for that person, and that person who got the job will not have much respect for themselves because they didn't achieve it off their own back. They got it just because of some characteristic they had no say in. You see the double standards here. All the time we get these double standards. You get the double standards in the court system, and I've touched on this several times in videos before about, and I've given that statistic, that 90% of custody are awarded to the mother in the relationship, only 10% awarded to the father. Whereas a lot of statistics have shown, and a lot of data and studies have shown, that men actually make the better parent, especially when you look at outcomes. But still they'll have some statute on the book that says the best place for a child is with its mother. I don't know where they got this idea from, but it was long before the data we have now. For some reason they seem to think that women make the better parent, when in actual fact the data doesn't bear that out. So we see these double standards all the time, and it's now affecting every aspect of our lives. It starts literally from when you were a baby, when you were a child. You see the different way that boys and girls are treated, and how confusing it becomes to young boys, and how demoralizing it becomes. But why? What is the end goal here? Well, I have a theory, excuse me. You see, when a boy is 2 or 3 years old and he's associating with other children, probably boys and girls, and he's got a toy that a girl wants, and she's like, gimme, 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 because, excuse me please, may I have that toy? That's very rarely what kids do at that age. It's gimme and try and snatch. And the boy goes, no, mine. And the girl hits the boy. And then the boy turns around and hits the girl back. He retaliates from the attack. He defended himself. The girl starts crying. Instantly the parents come in. He hit me, the little girl says, and the parents berate the little boy. You don't hit a girl. You don't lay your hands on a girl. That's naughty, you bad boy. And he starts crying, but at the same time he's confused because he goes, but she hit me first. Do you see the double standards? Nobody's saying to the girl, you don't lay your hands on a man. You don't hit anybody. So that girl grows up realising that some tears and a bit of violence works in her favour, because the boy is going to be hamstringed and hand-tied in retaliating, in defending himself. And that goes on through life. Everything that a girl tends to experience reiterates and reinforces the fact she's got the upper hand. And everything that boy, through school, mainly female teachers, you see, is going to learn is that he has little power. It wears him down and it demoralizes him. And this is another one of those beautiful little double standards that we come across. Excuse the loud car outside. Another double standard that we have. We have more and more young men who are self-deleting themselves from society because they've been so downtrodden. They have been vilified, they have been disgraced, they have been talked down to and told their opinions, their very existence is wrong, until in the end they see nothing to carry on living for. Young men under the age of 25, it's never been so high as it is now in society where they are self-deleting. But if a young girl just makes the attempt, she gets all of the mental health wellness thrown at her. Once again, propping up a woman, once again ignoring men. The double standards keep going, keep going, keep going. In the legal system, we see that men get 30% more jail time for the same crime as a woman, or a parable crime. So a woman will step in that courtroom, shed a few tears, I'm ever so sorry, and get a 30% reduction for the same crime as the man. Double standards. All the time, these double standards. Now, I want you to think about this, my brothers, because this is not something that should be happening. Laws are being passed that give women rights without responsibility, and have been passed that give women laws without responsibility. Rights without responsibility are no good. A man only ever receives his rights if he also has to take on the responsibilities. A woman is given them without responsibilities, and this creates a society not only uneven, but also morally bankrupt. And that's what we see in Western society. All our Western societies are slowly collapsing. The dating world is just a minefield of nonsense. Here's something else as well. In this country, rape of a man doesn't exist. A woman cannot rape a man, according to the law. She can sexually assault him, etc. But a man can a woman? If she gets pregnant after doing that to a man, he might be steaming drunk, and she manages to get his todger hard jump on, and then she can turn round and say, the baby's yours, you need to pay me. And he will be. He'll be on the hook for the next 18 years, despite the fact he might have no recollection of the event because he was drunk. If a drunk man and a woman go bed together and do the bedroom gymnastics and have fun together because they're both drunk, and then she wakes up the next day and regrets her decision, goes to the police and say, he assaulted me, at no point do they say, you were both drunk. No, the responsibility is on the drunken man not to do that with the woman. Not on the drunken woman to say, no thank you. And then the man back off. They had consensual relationships together whilst both drunk. But the double standard is she couldn't make decisions for herself because she was drunk. Well, neither could he. But that's not how the law stands. No, it was his responsibility. It doesn't matter how drunk he was. Do you see the double standards again and again and again and again? And this is why men have become so despondent with dealing with women. We can see they're given things without having to give anything up. We can see that they are rewarded for sometimes terrible behaviour. We can see that the only time we get something is when we fight for it and achieve it. We get it through our smarts and we get it through our strength. We know that we achieved that then. We know that was something that we got by the sweat of our own brow. But at the same time, we're thinking to ourselves, why on earth should I support somebody who is being given the world? If a woman finds herself homeless, her state, her government, her council are very likely to say to her, we'll find a home for you, even when she's not with children. In fact, she will jump ahead of men who are on that waiting list looking for a place to live. Why? Isn't she as capable as a man? Go out and earn a living? No, a man is quite happily being told to go and live on the streets. This is why 98% of the homeless are men. And a lot of those homeless are ex-servicemen. That is men who've taken the ultimate sacrifice as a citizen. In other words, they put their life on the line. They said, I'm going to join a branch of the military, which means if war breaks out, I will be the first one to call up and face bullets, face the possibility of death. And looking at our not too distant past, that's happened to a vast majority of men. They lost their lives in war. And what was the great thank you that happened to them after their service ended? When they started to suffer from mental health issues, when they started to suffer from PTSD from the horrors they saw while serving their country? Go and live on the street. Yet a woman who did none of that, who didn't serve her country, who didn't put her life, her very life, everything you have, you can only have if you're alive. So everything they had was put on the line for that country. She's told, you can jump ahead of these ex-service people, you can jump ahead of them while we find you accommodation. And that's just a single woman. That's not a woman with children. They'll bend over backwards if she's got children. Well, they'll take the children away if it's a man who's the sole provider of those kids. Double standards, double standards, double standards. And we see it all the time in the dating world. We see the double standards there. Women thinking they're 10 when they're average at best, them getting unwarranted attention just by showing a few pictures, whereas a man has to work bloody hard just to be noticed, never mind stand out. Anyway, do you agree with what I've been saying here? I know that I've missed out so many examples of the double standard, but there are thousands of them. There are so many just in the legal system. The rights that women have been given, legal rights, that men are not given. Let me talk about one, for instance. A woman has the right to decide whether she wants to be a parent. In this country, it's so many weeks. I think it's 24 weeks before the cut-off date. In a lot of countries now, and I know that in the States the laws are changing from state to state, in the United States, from state to state because of the overturn of Roe v. Wade. But the idea is that you have so many weeks, and it's usually when the baby is viable outside the womb. And of course, with the advance of modern medicine, that window has shrunk and shrunk because it's a child born at an earlier stage now can be viable because of the advances in modern medicine. But a lot of countries work around about the same 12 weeks, 15 weeks, 20 weeks, 22 weeks, somewhere around there where they say that after that time, the child is viable outside of the womb. Therefore, you are no longer able to abort that child. But up to that point, you can abort that child and face no consequences. In other words, your body, your choice. So, a woman can decide at that point that she doesn't want to be a mother. Okay, fair enough. But she also gets another choice after the baby's born. She can have the child for a few weeks and then go, you know what, this isn't for me. I don't think I'm a very good mother. I'm not making a very good mother. I'm putting this baby up for adoption. And once again is able to wipe her hands of all responsibility of that child she brought into the world. She's able to pass off this child to a government agency who will find adopted parents for it, or if not adopted parents, it will stay in the foster care system until it becomes of maturity. So once again, she washes her hands. The state and the government and the laws are not asking her to provide for that child for the next 18 years when that child becomes an adult and legally responsible for itself in its own right. So all of these times she can decide, I don't want to be a parent. No man is given that right. At the beginning, if she chooses to keep that child, he then becomes financially responsible for that child, whether he wanted it or not. He's not given any right to opt out from that responsibility. Even after the child's born, he's expected to take care of that child financially, if nothing else, financially. If she chooses to have that child adopted and again opt out of being a parent, then and only then can he negate his responsibility to the state if the child's adopted, because then another parent has taken on that responsibility. He's never given the choice whether he wants to be a parent or not. Double standards, double standards, double standards, all the time, favouring the woman at the detriment of the man. I can't think of a single example where a man is favoured over a woman legally, with rights, or even equally in a lot of cases. As I say, I'm missing out so many here. I mean, I had a laundry list of rights and laundry lists of double standards that we in the Western world as men face on a daily basis. So when I end my videos and I say you take care of yourself, you kind of get a realization of what I'm trying to get through to you about how you have to take care of yourself, because nobody's going to do it for you. No, let me put it like this. No law can ever be passed to keep you safe. That's your job. You see, they've passed laws to stop the most horrendous things, to say there is punishment if you do these things, but these things still happen. They pass laws to say it's against the law to murder. Murders still happen. You see, you can't pass any laws that will keep you safe. That's your job. You have to weigh up the situation and realise, is this going to be a good thing for me or a bad thing for me? And it happens dozens and dozens of times a day. You have to weigh up a situation where you think to yourself, is it right that I make this decision this way or this way? What's going to be the right decision for you? We have all of that responsibility on our shoulders. Women waltz through life thinking everything's going to be rainbows and unicorns because, hey, it has been so far. Everything's been given to me. Nobody's asked anything of me. Hey, if I make a mistake, if this happens to me or that happens to me, hey, I can play the victim then and somebody else will pay. Usually a man. Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments down below. What have you experienced in your life? What have you seen happen to friends and relatives in your life where the woman has completely been let off the hook and the man has been held up to higher standards, double standards? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you aren't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell notification, because that way you won't miss out on future content. And I don't think you want to miss out on future content. I think I'm going to have to make a part 2 to this video because, like I say, there was so much that I left out here, but it's already a long video. If nothing else, my brothers, give the video a like. The video likes likes. And so do I. And your comments, I might not reply to all of them, but I can promise you I read every single one of them, because I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers now, and to me it's humbling. You have shown your support for your brother Andy, and you've subscribed to this channel, and that's humbled me. I honestly thought I was just going to be making a few videos and shouting out to the void, but from the comments that you've been leaving, I enjoy these videos. You are taking on the message, and that is so important, both to you and to me. So I want to thank you for that. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for the support you've shown me. And I love every one of you guys, and I want the best for every single one of you. That's why I set this channel up. Anyway, I'm going for a cup of tea because I think I've earned one. You, my brothers out there, keep your eye out for the double standards and don't let them slip by. And you take care of yourself, because if you don't, who will? And I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.